Welcome, everyone. Excited to see some new faces and some faces from last week as well. So for those of you who are new, just a brief background. As Linda said, I'm the founder of Precision Sales Coaching, which I founded 18 years ago. And it's a company that has focused on helping Fortune 100 companies in financial services, specifically in the retirement business, increase their marketing and sales effectiveness. But it has always been a dream of mine to support women entrepreneurs, because when I started about 18 years ago, there wasn't a whole lot of support out there. So I had to learn the hard way, ups and downs and all around. So we are very excited to be offering a program to women entrepreneurs, and it has been in development for about 8 months now. And when Linda and I decided that we were going to partner together to do this, what we did is we said, you know, let's do research and find out what the challenges are of women entrepreneurs. And so our goal was to conduct 50 interviews, and I'm happy to say that at this point, we have conducted over 100 interviews and learned a lot through that. And some of the themes I wanted to bring through with you today are, I want to have an impact. That was loud and clear, that women really are in this to have an impact. So the other thing is, I want to run my business on my own terms. And I think what's meant by that is that, you know, as women, we've got a lot of balls up in the air. And so having the flexibility, and a lot of the women that we talked to actually had left corporate jobs so that they could have some flexibility. We also heard, I don't want to worry about money. Who does? I want to get off the hamster wheel. And we heard that analogy time and time again, which was so interesting, but really shows that, you know, feeling of not being able to stop for a minute, or else you may lose, you know, your business, or you may not be able to keep up with your revenues. I want to be able to do what I want to do and delegate the rest. So the idea of being able to build out a team. And then, of course, financial freedom. So these were themes that we heard time and time again. And really, in order to address any of those, it has to do with revenue. So today, I want to share with you the 4 levers for revenue generation. And the first is price. And I know we have a lot of financial advisors on the call today who don't have as much leeway with price. But for the coaches and consultants on the call, price has the most direct impact on the bottom line. We also have lead generation, which we're going to do a deep dive in today. If we pull that lever, if we bring in more leads, and we're able to convert those leads into clients, our revenues increase. If we increase our ability to convert those leads, which is all about the selling skills, which we touched on last week, that will also increase the revenues. And then finally is the offer. Why am I sticking here? The offer. Is the offer there? Maybe I just
Yes, it is.
Oh, there it is. Okay, your faces were all in front of it. Okay, so and what we mean by offer is, it is, you know, how you are packaging. And this is very specific to each business. So it's going to be different for each business. But if you're able to, for example, leverage your existing audience, that will have an impact on your revenue as well. So, okay, I am having some problems here. What is interesting, we're going to focus on 3 revenues, the price, the conversion, and the lead generation. What's interesting about that is that if you pull one of those levers, you'll obviously get an increase, as we said. You pull 2 of them, and it's an exponential kind of a lift. You pull 3, and of course, I'm not including the offer in here, but it would be the same if you're also doing your offer. You are going to get a significant increase. And so that's why we focus on these 3 levers. So as I said before, price has the most direct impact on the bottom line. And what's interesting about price is that women, according to a study by FreshBooks, women underprice themselves, entrepreneurial women, by 28% compared to their male counterparts, which is crazy. I mean, think about that. Think about your revenues right now. And if you are not pricing yourself as a man in the same field would be, that's a 30% lift if you change your pricing. So that's why next week we are going to be focused on pricing like a man and give you a framework to help you to determine how to price your offering and also how to talk about the price of your offering.
And Nadine, if I can chime in here, that FreshBooks study showed that it was men who are performing the exact same work as the women who are underpricing themselves by 28%. They're doing the exact same thing. Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. So today we're going to do a deep dive on lead generation, and then we're going to do a little bit on the offer. So lead generation, it is a big topic that can drive a lot of us crazy as we try to figure out where to focus and how to focus. And I would say that it could drive you to drink, right? It's so big. So let's see if we can today focus a little bit on, we're going to do it from some of the mistakes that we see, share with you that, and then some of the best practices. So the first mistake that we have seen is thinking that your network and referrals are enough. And by the way, I made this mistake early on in my business. And network and referrals are fabulous, and they can take you maybe for a year, depending on your offering, a little bit more than that, but it won't help you to grow your business. So you don't have a business if you don't have a steady flow of leads that convert to clients. So that's the first thing. Mistake number two, not doing the math. So the question is, how many leads do you need? And that is going to be specific to your business. So for example, the legacy precision business, our average deal size was 250,000. And we had a concentration in that niche. So we had very high win rates or conversion rates. So we didn't need that many leads. Now we're in a situation where we have, our mission is to help 500 women reach 500,000 in revenues. So when you do the math on that, if we project out, let's say 5 years, we're going to need about 16 leads a month. So way more than we did in the other business. So the numbers that you want to look at is, what is your revenue goal? What's your win rate, which is your conversion rate, and your price. And that will tell you exactly how many leads you need. And we have a pricing calculator that we're going to share next week that makes this super easy to do so that you can reverse engineer to your revenues. Next mistake is not niching down enough, which I just referenced a little bit. Is it related to the precision legacy business? Niching down can be very scary for women entrepreneurs. We heard that time and time again, because you feel like you are not allowing the full opportunity. You're cutting yourself off. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, we did a LinkedIn news article specifically on the fear of niching. So if that sounds like you, I encourage you to take a look at that. But when you are able to niche, it allows you to focus your lead generation activities very specifically and really create authority in the space, which allows you to increase those conversion ratios. So it's absolutely imperative to niche. Mistake number 4, not fully understanding your ideal client. And of course, you're going to be able to better understand your ideal client if you niche. And why that is important is you can really understand where they are, you know, where to communicate with them. Where do they hang out? Again, focusing those lead generation activities. You know, are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Facebook? What conferences do they attend, et cetera? And then what are they looking for specifically? How would they describe their problem? How would they describe the aspiration of how that is going to be solved? And that allows you to really tighten your messaging and create what we call magnetic messaging. Mistake number 5, not asking for referrals or not having a referral program in place. This is the low-hanging fruit. Conversion ratios on referrals are significantly higher. So getting in the practice and having a discipline of asking your clients, you know, do you know others who may benefit from our services similar to you? And again, being really clear on who your ideal client is so that they know who to refer you to. Mistake number 6, not measuring the return on the effort. There can be such a whirl in the whole lead generation thing that sometimes we forget to take a step back and to really look at the amount of effort that I'm putting in. Am I getting the return? What is really working for me? And what should I drop? Mistake number 7, not doing what is aligned with you. I think that we can get so involved. I'm not going to be on TikTok slide, right? That's not who I am. It's not who Linda is. So what we love to do is we love to write and we love to teach. And so it's natural that what our strategy is that we are doing webinars. We are doing a LinkedIn newsletter. Down the road, we are planning to do a YouTube channel as well. But what's important here is do what's you're aligned to and what you do it a step at a time. Be methodical about it. Mistake number 8, spreading yourself too thin over too many channels. I mean, it is overwhelming today where we could be. And again, what we want to do is really zero in on where our ideal clients are. And we want to be able to focus in so that we can, in fact, have a greater impact. So for that reason, we recommend that you focus on 1 or 2 channels, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Mistake number 9, not recognizing the stage of your business. I was on a webinar or a podcast recently with a competitor of ours who has built a significant business. And they were suggesting that, you know, you got to be on everything. Linda and I do not believe that, right? Is that you take a step at a time, you make progress, and then as you're able to build out the team, you of course can extend your reach. So you got to recognize the size of the business. And mistake number 10 is not strategically leveraging and packaging your content. So what I mean by that is that we only have so many hours in the day, right? And of course, a big part of lead generation is to be able to provide what we would call meaningful or profitable content. You can leverage that. So let me give you an example. We have a newsletter that we mentioned earlier on LinkedIn called The Softer Side of Sales. So last week, what we posted this week was about lead generation. Obviously, today we're doing a webinar about lead generation. And then those 2 things will become our script for our YouTube channel, which we're going to start in the summer. So it's being really focused about how you can leverage some of the content that you do have. Mistake number 11, not leveraging other people's audiences. So let me give you an example of that. Linda and I, about 3 months ago, we did a series of webinars with Chris Taylor, who is the CEO of a company called Actionable.io. And it's a technology company that helps coaches and consultants demonstrate their value in the B2B world. So coaches and consultants definitely are ideal client. So we did a series of webinars together where he was able to leverage our audience and we were able to leverage ours. In the next several months, we're doing another webinar series with a company called One Page CRM. It happens to be our CRM system. So we reached out to them and they focus on that their audience is entrepreneurs. So again, another opportunity to leverage other people's audiences and to build your email list, which email is still the number one recommended strategy. But of course, you can't leverage that unless you have a decent sized email list. And by leveraging other people's audiences, you will be able to build that email list a lot quicker than you are able to do on your own. Mistake number 12, giving up too soon on long game activities. And I think we all know, right, what it's like to be doing those social posts and it really feels like, is anybody out there? And it's a long game activity. So that's another reason why we want to focus, right, narrowly on where our ideal clients are. And then on these longer game, and I'm going to talk about the difference between the longer and the shorter shortly, on those longer game activities, you absolutely need to hang in there. Mistake number 13, not nurturing your leads. So only 10% of people that you come across as you're developing leads, only 10% at best will be ready to buy. 90% of them are not ready to buy, but they will be someday. You've got to be there when that moment strikes them. So it's very important to nurture those leads. And in fact, there's all kinds of statistics out there, but let's say, you've got 10 leads. If you do not nurture them, right, maybe 2 of them, this is what research suggests, that 2 of them will convert. Whereas if you nurture those 10, and by nurturing, I mean, whether it be by email or even showing up on social media so they get familiar with you, you will have 50% more sales ready leads. And there's also statistics out there that show that I think it's 67%, they will, depending on what your offer is, obviously, are likely to buy a higher priced offer than if they had not been nurtured. And mistake number 14 is not having a strategy. So that's what we're going to talk about now, is the all-important lead generation strategy that's going to focus your efforts. As I mentioned before, there are some short game activities and there are some long game activities, and you want a combination of both. However, if you're early stage business and you really need that revenue hit, focus on the short game, right? And maybe just one or 2 things on the long game. So let me share with you what I'm talking about here in terms of short game and long game. So short game, asking for referrals. We already talked about it. Conversion ratios go way, way up. Similarly, a referral program where you're offering something to clients or others in exchange for referrals. That'll help you get those revenues up. Networking, in-person events and online events. It's so much easier to develop a relationship and that know, like, trust factor that we all talk about, right? If you're able to meet someone in person versus online. And when I say in person, even in the virtual environment. email marketing with a lead magnet if you have a decent size list of ideal clients. If you don't, this is more of a long game strategy. Lead magnets, and that's value in exchange for email. So this is where you may be doing a post on LinkedIn that says, if you are interested in this workbook or this workshop or webinar or, checklist, I will send it to you, where you're building your email list, but also it in some ways could be a shorter term activity. It kind of balances between the two. Webinars like this and mastermind events where people are able to see what you have to offer and determine if you're in alignment. Speaking engagements, huge. Guest podcasts with an offer if the podcast that you're guesting on has a large audience, and there with the offer, it would be something like a strategy session or a checklist or an invitation to a webinar. And then an affiliate program or referral partnerships can also be considered a short game activity. And then finally, advertising, which is something that we would not necessarily recommend for early stage businesses, but could be considered a short game activity. On the long game side, that's social media activity, the liking, the sharing, the commenting, the participating in groups tend to be take longer for you to really see the benefits of that. The social media posts here, it's the where you are, not necessarily have a lead magnet, but you were writing about something that's of value to your audience. Website optimization takes a little bit more time, making sure that you have those keywords so that Google is finding you when someone is ready to buy. YouTube channel, as we said, that is our strategy. And the reason why it is because, as you know, YouTube and Google owns YouTube. So it's got access to the greatest search engine in the world. We love to teach, so it's an ideal platform for us. Authoring articles in established media channels, terrific for credibility, but long-term. Writing a book, super long-term. Podcast hosting, but impactful, right? Writing a book. Podcast hosting, that a lot of effort goes into that. And it's going to take a long time, just as with the YouTube channel, it'll take a long time to get your subscribers there. But once you do, it can be terrific. And then, of course, PR as well. So that is the short and the long-term activities that we wanted to share with you. And all of what we talked about culminates in this lead generation strategy template. So if you are interested, if you don't have a lead generation strategy, we encourage you to have one, and we've made it really, really simple for you. So if you're interested in this template, put your email address in the chat to Linda, and we will get it out to you very shortly, probably this afternoon. And I'll give you a minute to do that.
And I will make it even easier on everyone. If you were at the last webinar, or we already know you and we have your email and you've received an email from me already, just write yes in the chat. Directly to me would be helpful. Just yes. And I will look at the chat after this webinar and I'll know that you're interested in the lead gen strategy. So that's super easy.
Super easy.
If you're new to us, we would love to send it to you. So by all means, send your email through.
So where we're going from here is we're going to go to Q&A, and then we're going to do a little bit on your offer. But before we go to Q&A on lead gen, we'd love to just tell you super briefly about our program. So it's called the Precision Sales Accelerator. And this is what we call the bird's eye view. And we go from right to left here. And the first pillar, we have 3 pillars. The first pillar is focused on sales strategy. So it's a little bit what we talked about today with attracting leads. It's going to be what we're talking about next week on a very kind of cursory level. Once our clients complete the sales strategy, we move into sales skills. So if you were on the webinar last week, you know about our philosophy to selling skills and the softer side of sales. So that's what that is all about, but it's really about honing those skills so that you can increase your win rates. And then the third pillar is about sales growth. So that's about really building authority in your niche. It's building out the team so that you can do what you love and delegate the rest. And it is about using the systems and data so that you can grow your business and step into the role of CEO. And we are offering now what we call the Founders Program. And we are offering it to a limited group of women. And the reason why is because it includes one-on-one coaching in addition to group coaching, but we're limited in terms of how many people we can, do one-on-one coaching with. Part of the Founders Program is lifetime access. So that is going to change to a subscription-based service after the Founders Program. And then, of course, a discounted investment. And we're super excited to say that Equitable, for those of you, I know we've got several of you on the phone today, we are proud to have been identified as a preferred coach by Equitable Advisors. And because of that relationship, we are able to offer an additional discount to Equitable Advisors. So, if you are interested in increasing your revenue and your impact, please book a call. We'd love to learn about your business anyway, tell you a little bit about the program. And if we think you're a good fit, we can get more specific in terms of what we offer. So Linda's going to put in the Calendly link for an appointment, and thank you for, I'm going to take the screen down now. Thank you for listening to that. We hope to talk to you. So now what we're going to do is the lead generation question. So we went through a lot, and I'm wondering, Linda, did any questions come up?
Yes, one question came in asking about what's a good email list? How many people?
So there are two pieces to a good email list. One is numbers, but the other is, are they your ideal clients? So there are a lot of people out there. And in fact, so for example, the precision email list that when we started this offer was largely Fortune 100 companies. So that email list for this offer is not, very relevant to us. So you want to have a focused email list. And in terms of numbers, you know what, I would not pay attention so much to the finite amount as just trying to build it. I think once you've got 150, 200, you can really start to reach out and leverage that email list. They say that a good cadence is 1 or 2 a week, and that they really should be more storytelling, most of them with an occasional offer involved. Does that answer your question? Whose question was that, Linda?
It was a while ago, so I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Should have taken note of that.
Anyway, if it doesn't, let us know.
Yes, you're welcome to come off mute. I think it was Elizabeth. I think she's typing.
Yeah, it was me. So it was mine.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi. Yeah, so thanks. It was mine.
Nice to see you.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on. Other questions?
No questions about lead gen? We'll give it another 30 seconds here.
Or maybe
Okay, I have a question. Maybe am I allowed to just ask like this?
Yes,
You
please.
want me to type it in
Love
the
it.
chat?
no,
Okay.
you can ask.
Okay, so about this newsletter issue, how much is too much? Because I'm afraid of going too much, like annoying people and getting people to desubscribe.
Okay, so what we chose to do, is it's Cecilia who's asking that question. What we chose to do is a LinkedIn newsletter, and to do it once a week, which seems to be the right cadence out there. And so it lives on LinkedIn. We were able to invite our whole LinkedIn list. They get in their email Nadine just posted a new LinkedIn newsletter if they subscribed. So they're choosing to be in on it, first of all. So I think when you're asking how much is too much, I think you're asking it from more the annoyance level of your client. Is that right? Or is it too much on your shoulders?
No, I mean like for the annoyance level.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't want people to unsubscribe.
as long as you're providing valuable content, they are not going to unsubscribe, and you will just grow your following. So that's the key. And one thing that you can do is ask them. We had the benefit of all the interviews that we conducted, so we have a really good sense of what the issues are out there. But you can ask in the newsletter, what topics are relevant to you, or what would you like me to cover? And then that way you can be pretty sure that you're, hitting the target and providing value.
And if I can add to that, based on the 100 interviews we did with women entrepreneurs too, this is a very common fear that we are going to annoy our audience, that they will unsubscribe, and then we won't have a shot at them when they are ready to potentially buy your services. And that we own that. And that is our own limiting belief. It is not a limiting belief that most successful entrepreneurs share with us. So that's something that we need to check in with ourselves on and make sure that we are coming to our valuable content and putting it out in the world, knowing that it's going to reach people who in fact are going to benefit from it. And if anybody does unsubscribe, it's okay, because there's 20 more plus who are going to benefit from it. So they make their decision based on where they are in their journey, and that's all right.
And yes, it hurts a little bit, right? When you see that somebody's unsubscribed to your email list, but think about it as that you want a very focused email list and a cold email list, because eventually as you grow that, it will also, you will have, in terms of getting through spam and that kind of thing, it makes a difference. So, even if the best practice is, once you get a big list, is to also cull those people out who are not your ideal clients.
Yes.
Other questions?
That was a really good one.
Oh, okay. Are we good? Good on that? Good on lead gen? All right. I hope everybody.
Barb,
It's
Barb.
Barb. Hey, Barb.
Hi, it might be a loaded question though. And I wrote it, I don't know if you got it though.
I
Is there
just
any
got it.
trick or strategy to getting podcasts and guest speakers spots?
Well, I didn't hear that all. Podcast, what, Barb?
Any trick or strategy to getting podcasts, like guest podcasts
Yes.
or guest
Oh,
speakers?
spots, absolutely. Yeah. So there are a couple of services that we subscribe to. One of them is podcastguest.com, which actually we have two. I'm not even going to mention the other one because I don't think the other one is very good. But that's a great way to get some podcasts under your belt and for them to find you and for you to find them. So that's, and I don't know how many, if you've done a lot of podcasts or not. If you haven't, go ahead. It's okay to do the, smaller podcasts who are really anxious for guests like you, so that you have some demos that you can share under your belt, which is going to make the podcasters with larger audiences more comfortable having you as their guest, or potentially even reaching out to you. So in those services, you can do free, or you can do a subscription service, which gives you a little bit more exposure. And the subscription is not that expensive.
Thank you. That was helpful.
You're welcome. Good.
Great question.
Good, good, good. All right. So are we ready to move on? Our next topic is your offer. And for the financial advisors on our call today, this may not be that relevant to you. We'd love you to stay around, but we also know that your time is precious. So, you know, feel free to, I felt it was necessary to tell you, if you want to drop off, you can. Coaches and consultants, please stay on for this, because I think this is really, really important. So I'm going to pull up my screen again. Okay, so what you offer and how you construct that offer. Same thing with lead generation. I'm just going to review a couple of mistakes that we have seen. And the first one is playing too small. So that's where the scope of your offer is not significant enough to drive the transformation. And let me tell you a story about this. There was a woman that we worked with who has a copywriting business. And one of the challenges that she was facing is that her clients were not re-signing up, right? She had a 3-month program, and then at the end of the 3-month program, they went away. And so when I asked her why she thought that was, is she said, you know, they just haven't been able to see the benefit of the work that we've done for them. So I said to her, well, then you shouldn't offer a 3-month program, right? Make it, how long does it take for them to see the transformation? She said, really, it takes a year. Then offer a program that is a year. And I said, what's been getting in the way of that? And she said, you know, I'm just afraid that they won't write a check for that much, right? Or that it takes on too much. And it was funny because the next day after we had this conversation, she emailed me and she had a sales call, and she didn't offer the 3-month. She offered a 12-month and she closed it. You know, so sometimes we think that if we play small, it'll make things easier, but in reality, it can make things harder because they don't see the transformation. They don't have time to experience the transformation that you're providing. The second piece of this is not being focused, having too many offers. And we've seen this time and time again. And it's almost the feeling of, well, I can increase my revenue if I have more to offer. Well, you can, if you are doing it in a methodical way, right? And we recommend start with one offer and really focus on that. Get your testimonials, see the transformation, and then leverage that audience, which is part of the offer too, right? How can I leverage that audience? Can I do a higher ticket program, a retreat kind of thing, you know? So again, offers are very, very specific to your individual business. But some things that you might want to consider when you think about your offer. So here, if you look at the slide, we have the B2B and we have the B2C, right? We have high ticket, we have low ticket. So starting in that upper left quadrant, a high ticket B2B is something that is over $20,000. And there, the expectation is a real transformation, right? You need fewer leads, as I talked about with Legacy Precision, right? I didn't need that many leads because we had a big ticket offers, but we needed to really create that transformation for our clients. It's a complex, long sales that requires high touch. So a low ticket in B2B, maybe a solution under 20,000. It's a partial solution. So you're not promising a great transformation there, right? You will need more leads for that, but it's easier to sell. So that's something like a speaking engagement for 6,500, right? It's not going to break the bank for the B2B client, and they get a sense of who you are. And it's a low touch kind of a sale. So often the low ticket is an entry to the high ticket. And if we take that to a B2C sale, B2C, any high ticket would be considered over 1,000. And there is a transformation involved. You need fewer leads because your revenue is going to be higher, right? But there is a higher buyer risk there, because when you think about the B2C, it's really, they're taking out their own wallet here, right? Where the B2B is not quite as risky. And they expect a very high touch experience. B2C, low ticket is under $1,000. It tends to be a partial solution. You need many leads. There's less buyer risk because of the cost, and it can be lower touch. In fact, there are a lot of offers out there that don't involve a conversation at all on those lower B2C offers, where they can just sign up, for something for $250 and take a program or go to a webinar or a masterclass, a limited mini masterclass, and get their thing. So, overall, those higher tickets, you need fewer clients, but you need higher touch, less marketing. On the lower offers, you need more clients, lower touch, and more marketing. Other considerations is your methodology, right? Are you providing coaching services, consulting services, design services, project management, training, speaking engagements? Your service level. Obviously, you have options between doing one-on-one or kind of group dynamics, group coaching, group training. You have the DIY, the do-it-yourself, where you're helping people do their own thing or do it for you service level. And then, of course, you have a blend of all of this. And from a model perspective, you have live launches, and you have evergreen programs to think about as well. And then finally, some real tactical considerations is time frame. How long will it take to achieve the transformation, as we talked about earlier? The services, what specifically does your offer include? And then name can be important here too. I mean, it's a tactical consideration, but an important one. So what name will you give your offer? So that's what we have on the offer in terms of, what to be thinking about there. Any questions? On your offer, I'll give it a minute and feel free to just jump in.
We love it when you jump in.
Questions, comments? No?
Nothing in the chat. It'd be interesting to hear from you, if you just want to put it in the chat, what quadrant you are working in now.
Yeah,
Nadine is telling us that matrix was really helpful. And she's working in the B2B high ticket quadrant.
Okay.
Well done. Well done.
Yes, that's great. By the way, I'm not
She's saying it's very hard.
It's very hard, right? So one thing I would say is a study was done on women entrepreneurs who switched from a B2C to a B2B. And within 2 years, they had increased their revenues by 297%, I think was the stat. Is that right, Linda? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes.
So B2B is a different play. What's interesting about it is that you may be thinking, oh, my offer doesn't fit in B2B. Most offers can fit in B2B. It's amazing what companies buy. And again, this is a business decision that you have, but if you are leaning towards the B2B sale, it can be very profitable.
Yeah, we have Wendy and Lynn Ellen, who are both in B2B low ticket, and they're working on B2B high ticket.
Okay. Yep. And
Elizabeth-
sometimes the way to do that is to get your foot in the door on those lower tickets so that you can get to the higher ticket. And then of course, logos become really important, right? So the more, logos and testimonials you have, the easier it is to enter from the high ticket. And again, this is where niching comes back because, as I said at the beginning, the precision, I would do some speaking engagement, but pretty much always towards, the last 10 years, once I was really able to niche, would be able to enter in that high ticket realm because I was so well known in the industry.
Exactly. And Wendy's on the cusp. She's working in the $7,500, $15,000 range, but she hasn't gone above 20. And that's what we would call, a plateau.
Yeah.
So we're, it's about breaking through. We have Barb, who's in the B2C high ticket. She's on the other side, high ticket. But Elizabeth has chimed in. She does online media looking for vendor sponsorships. And she's saying maybe could be B2B high ticket, but she's wondering if she should start low ticket. So how do you make the decision whether or not to start low ticket or not?
I don't know enough of that about that particular industry, but what I would do there, Elizabeth, is ask them, right? Find out and take a good look at your competitors and where are they entering at the high ticket or the lower ticket? If it is, obviously a higher ticket offer is preferable. So I think you really need to study the buying behavior of your ideal client there.
And what I would add is, how long does it take for you to have a real impact on your client? If it takes a longer period of time for you to have an impact, you should consider going straight for the high ticket, right? Because the problem with starting with low ticket, the example that Nadine gave, is you could get in and do low ticket, but they don't feel the impact. So they move on potentially to one of your competitors, right? Who's going to stay in there longer, and then they're going to see the impact and they're going to see the return on the investment. So yeah, it's a very strategic decision for sure.
Great question. Good. Anything else? All right. So we will, I hope, see you next week on our Price Like a Man. If you'd like to reach out, we would love to chat with you and learn about your business and explore ways that we can help. So I wish everybody a terrific, is it too early to say weekend?
Yes. Everybody needs to do a little bit more work.
A terrific end of the week and a wonderful weekend. And
before you sign off, I have put the registration link for Price Like a Man. It's next Wednesday at 1 o'clock in the chat. And here I just pushed send on the link again to our Calendly where you can book a call with us. You can, if you joined us last week, and can count on us to lean into the softer side of selling. So it's pretty low risk to book a call with us because we really just want to understand where you are in your journey and get to know you.
Great.
So
thank you
so much for your time, everyone.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye, everyone.